So the United States pulled the plug on funding the National Integrity Action.
It's okay, you don't know about
But
integrity.
why?
That's why you're stumbling. It's
And
okay.
what's the next step for the organization? We speak with the Executive Director of National Integrity Action, Professor Trevor Monroe, on just what we mentioned just now. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome
morning,
once again
Empress. How are you
to
doing?
Smile Jamaica.
Good,
How
Prof.
did you work this out in the first place that you would have got funding from the United States? How did that happen in the first
Well,
place?
Neville Empress, if you look at your Gleaner every Sunday, you'll see requests for applications, in this case, a solicitation from the US AID for applications to strengthen integrity and to combat corruption in Jamaica. That was in 2015, 2016. We applied, it was highly competitive, local and foreign bodies, and we came out on top. And the obligation that we entered into is to do just that, strengthen integrity and combat corruption in Jamaica.
Would they be
We've been doing that for 3 or 4 years.
Sorry, but would they be the only people that you got funding from? Is that the only source of funding?
Not at all. We applied for, in earlier days, funding from the Department for International Development of the United Kingdom. We won that award as well. We have awards from the Transparency International, the Canadian Development Agency, and also the European Union. But those awards and that funding is not so substantial as the USAID award, and therefore they not pulling the plug or cutting the contract was due to expire in March 2019. But because of the quality of the performance and the specific request of Minister Chuck, he and I signed a memorandum of understanding for NIA to support substantial training in justice sector reform, which is so crucial for good governance in Jamaica and for strengthening the integrity of our system.
Prof, I want to come in here and just, let's just rewind a little bit. So a call is put out, a public call. Anybody can apply for the funding.
Absolutely.
The U.S. funds a lot of programs. And USA, tell us what USA stands for again, just so the public
United States Agency for International Development.
For international development. So the United States offers their money and support for us to develop programs to combat corruption, right? So you applied, you won the bid, and you received over the term 10 point something million US,
Correct.
which for the Jamaican public is about $1 billion Jamaican. So some people are saying that's a lot of money. Where does it go?
What do with it?
What you do with it? And I think we need to go into that now. Over the years, what have you done? Tell us the partners you've worked with, the justice reform, what have you contributed to that? And also the messaging on corruption, because some people don't know what corruption is, and I know you've had a very big PR campaign. So just take us through what you've done and the partners that you have spent the money with.
Let me go forward and then go backwards.
Yeah.
On Monday and Tuesday this coming week, there's a 2-day training seminar for investigative journalists. NIA is sponsoring that in conjunction with the Press Association of Jamaica and the Media Institute of the Caribbean. That 2-day training is going to be over $1 million, just to make sure that everything is right. 25 journalists. The applications are out, and I hope either of you interested will be welcome to apply. 2 or so weeks ago, we had 3 different functions at the AC Marriott. One, the Restorative Justice 11th Annual Conference, which was a big success. Minister Chuck, the Canadian High Commissioner, the European Union Ambassador all spoke, and we had about 200 or 300 Jamaicans from across the country there.
And what did they were trained?
Training, yeah.
Okay.
It's restorative justice, and that represented the culmination of a number of regional trainings across the country in not just restorative justice, but alternative dispute resolution, mediation, how to solve conflicts without fighting and without, getting into a war. And then a couple of days after, we had 2 training seminars. One for appeal court judges on case flow management, which is so important to move the cases through the system so that justice delayed is not what we experience. And then thereafter I spoke also at a parish court training seminar, again for case flow management. So all of this stuff is where the money goes. I mean, we have sponsored the, I believe, annual Governor General's program for young people. We have done work with the Justice Training Institute, the Office of the Chief Justice, the DPP, whose office is so important to ensure that prosecutions are carried out in a competent way, and there's not just investigation, but people who should go to jail go to jail. There were a number of training seminars with prosecutors over the last 3 or 4 years, and we can see some of the benefits, the anti-gang training for investigators, for the Jamaica Constabulary Force, so that a number of different entities in the private, in the social area, the Council for Voluntary Social Services, they have trained over 1,000 integrity champions in different communities across the country, each of them having undergone a 2-day training in how to strengthen integrity.
Training. You sponsor programs for development, justice reform, the DPP's office. So my thing is, when you put in your proposal to the USAID, you are saying you have objectives, you have a timeline, and you must be monitored and evaluated. Throughout the course, when you sent in your reports, did you have a problem? Did they have a problem with your reports on how you were spending your money?
Not at all. The way it works is that every month one would have a meeting with what the person they call the accountable officer representative, that's somebody from the USAID, and we would review what we have done, not what they have told us to do, because we put in a proposal in response to what Jamaican people need and what our stakeholders and partners would benefit from. And throughout that period, culminating in November 2019, which was the final performance evaluation, commissioned by the USAID, NIA got, I would say, you're putting on a professorial cap on A. That followed, by the way, the review carried out by the Department for International Development in an earlier time, 2013 A, 2014 A+. We dropped a little bit in 2016 A.
Real professor now. But Prof, we don't have long. I need to ask you some questions. What is Ambassador Tapia's problem with you? Is there a problem? It sounds like there's a problem. In conversations that we've heard, alluding to the fact that, or alluding to the notion that maybe NIA is not, he's not happy with your performance as NIA.
I can't speak for the good ambassador. I can only say this, that...
He said it's a lot of money. We spent $10.9 million.
And Jamaican people need quite a lot in order to deal with this cancer of corruption and in order to deal with strengthening integrity. And all people put a lot of money into it, and we get support from those partners who have a vested interest as well. They don't want to see their taxpayers' money coming to Jamaica to build roads that are good and to equip hospital clinics, and the money goes into the pocket of the
How do you fill this gap?
Difficult issue. We are going to be applying, as we have done in the past, for new proposals maybe requested. We're going to be hoping that our Jamaican beneficiaries and our Jamaican persons who have contributed, and there are some very, very outstanding business persons who contribute to NIA, we're hoping that they'll be able to increase their support. We have a facility for volunteers, and we hope that more volunteers will come in because it's a big job. And we're seeing progress. The surveys show that Jamaican people's tolerance of bribery has declined substantially over the last 10 years, that their orientation to paying and taking bribes is also less. The missing link, of course, is that we're not seeing enough of the corrupt who believe themselves untouchable going to prison. And that NIA can't prosecute, nor can we investigate. We can only advocate to ensure that the environment and the atmosphere is such that those who have that capability fulfill it efficiently.
Empress already said that it was 10.9 million spent over the time.
10.6.
Okay, 10.6 million spent over the time. How much money do you need for you to run your office effectively?
Well, it depends on what level. If we're going to operate at the same level in terms of staff and the intensity of the activities,
then you need 10 million.
Then we're going to need $1 million, $2 million US per year. But we're not going to stop. Anybody thinks that we're going to lie down and die. Even with reduced funding and reduced staff, we're not going to stop pushing for integrity, for people to do the right thing, and we're not going to stop advocating that those who are guilty of wrongs must go to prison. And we're going to really reinforce the judicial side.
So you have to reduce staff?
At this present time, we'll have to, unless we see the kind of support coming in that we're seeking and applying for.
Prof, Ambassador Tapia said, what I want to see is, if we're going to spend that kind of money, why are we not spending it on the judicial system? You were working with the judicial system in your program?
Not
Or were
only
you
that,
Because you
as I
mentioned
said,
that
we
you
signed
had
a
done...
memorandum of understanding with Minister
Right.
Chuck, and that memorandum of understanding in February 2019, we agreed that we would do a great amount of work in promoting child diversion so that youngsters who get in trouble don't end up in prison. And the restorative justice program, the training of judges, prosecutors, investigators, and the memorandum of understanding said that we should devote in that year, which ended in fact next month, 100 million Jamaican dollars to that program, because training, sensitization, promoting rallies such as the 10,000 Man and Families March, which we do every year. Bishop Rowan Edwards is doing great work in North St. Catherine. This is not, it requires funding. So that was the agreement with Minister Chuck, and he wrote us in February saying, look, we want this to continue beyond March, but it would be absolutely unprecedented for any NGO or civil society organization having gotten 2 awards of substantial character to get a 3rd. So we weren't anticipating. There's no cut, there's no drop.
And I want to just correct that, because I mean, a lot of people are listening, and for the integrity of the National Integrity Action, I just want to be clear. You were awarded, you fulfilled your responsibility according to your plan, right? And funding doesn't last for any agency for a certain period of time. They can't fund you forever, can they?
No.
And I just want to confirm, Prof, is there any conflict between you and the USAID?
On my side, absolutely
No
none.
conflict.
The
There we
performance
go.
value, and also other stakeholders, if I may just conclude, are the Jamaican people. And the surveys that have been done in the last 2017 one, 47% of Jamaicans knew about NIA, and 82% gave us a positive rating, and they are our ultimate boss.
Well, you are out there. I mean, the billboards, the advertisements. And when we talk about corruption, Neville, do not buy your license. When you pay a police, you are corrupt, right? That is corruption.
Look, Neville is a Georgian. You don't need to tell him that.
Oh, yes.
Good to see you, sir.
Watch her.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Prof. And all the best with the
Welcome.
NIA.
And thank you.
Yes.
And
Say
thank
hi
you,
to
Neville.
Jamie for me.
Professor Trevor
your
Monroe,
team.
Executive Director of National Integrity Action.
My people still to come, from one professor to the next. And, you know, it's interesting when we talk about international funding. And as a reparations advocate, I can't wait to hear from Professor Vereen Shepherd. When we look at fixing some of our problems, maybe we do need to look to reparation. More on Smile Jamaica when we return.